of Moses Kuria resigning, and other issues that are underlining. Of course, you've seen on the title, we are focused on NUSU MKATE probability. What do you feel as a Kenyan? Now, of course, all of us know that people have begun a game of wits, a game that is focused towards self and not the rest of us. Now, if we look at the streets and everybody that is campaigning, be it the position of the government, is there a genuine face before us? Looking at the past and the present, what comes to your mind? Is there a possibility of these people again playing with us and getting to the broadband government as it has been, or it was rather set by Raila Odinga? Now let's get into a tweet that was had to stream in yesterday, and it has been discussed by a lot of people. But in my perspective, this is my take. Look at that. This evening I have met my boss and my president, William Ruto. The president has graciously accepted my decision to resign from government. I thank President Ruto for having given me an opportunity to serve as Cabinet Secretary for Investment, Trade and Industry for 11 months, Public Service Delivery and Performance Management for 9 months, and Service Economic Advisor for at last 10 months. As I move to pursue my personal interests, I'm proud of the work the President and I did to implement the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, which I designed together with President as our 2022 electoral platform. Long live Kenya. So then, that was the message that Kuria dropped just as he was exiting State House. Now, many people think that State House will be in disarray as a result of this, but in my perspective, I think there is a game here we're being played. It's possible that Kuria is going to see how he can split the votes. Remember, Mount Kenya is now banking so much to Gachagua, walking around the country and talking about cousins and shemeji. The narrative has turned from the wheelbarrow aspect and the bottom-up economy to cousins. People are now looking at the ills of the government rather than looking at the bottom-up economy itself. It has become a fallen hero, a donkey that is too tired, that people are trying to push and it can't be pulled or pushed. Many people, in fact, Adeku Jane, hi, how are you? Welcome to the house. I was doing some other video just before I was interfered with a call that led to the blank screen, and I had to shift and come to the next streaming that I'm now doing. Now, looking at the reason why Kuria has actually resigned, in this tweet, you've seen that he's saying that he's proud he has worked with the president. But looking at the temperatures of the airs in Kenya, not anybody, or maybe very few people are proud of what the president has done. Very few people. Maybe those who have benefited directly as individuals within the government. But when you look at the citizens and maybe the opposition, there is nothing to celebrate, nothing to smile about, right? So the 10 months that Kuria has been there as an economic advisor senior, what has he actually been advising the president? Because when you look at the economy itself, it's wanting. It's in a terrible state. We are under siege. We've seen a lot of businesses going down. Personally, I'm a business person, and business has not been great at all. You know, people don't have money. You sell your products and you don't have who to sell to, or if they buy, they take on debts and they take a long time before they pay back. When you look at loans, so many people have loans, both online and the bank loans, and it's very difficult for anybody to pay these loans consistently. If you can attest from the citizen point of view, maybe some people can celebrate because there were people who got jobs behind, we normally say in the illegal doors, or rather back doors. We have people who got jobs back doors, and we know that. because there are people who went to schools with letters, direct letters, and got hired. Of course, such people will not see any problem with the government. We have people who got tenders, maybe to supply material. Which says there is nothing new under the sun. All right, thank you for that comment, because we really like when you're doing this live stream. People should come up with different views, those who feel that the government has done and those who feel that nothing has been done. Davis Mutwiri says, name a car for an edit. What do you mean, Davis? I'm not very sure about what you mean when you say name a car for an edit. All right. Any car. Forester? To make it look cool. So to make the car look cool, Davis? All right. So of course we've had the Subarus, we've had everything happening in the country, and we saw that we are not only under siege politically, but we are under siege economically. So Davis Mutwiri is like something else in terms of car. That's what I'm not getting. Maybe you can clarify in terms of name a car and edit. Then you said it make it look cool and something else. All right. So let's proceed into this discussion actually, because as I told you in the other live stream that I was taking, do you know those supercars? Which supercars and where are they? Yeah. Maybe you can let me know, because I'm doing a different topic, and therefore that's why I'm not focusing on supercars. Yeah, because supercars, we have so many varieties. Of course, if I had to focus on that, I would be talking about the exotic cars here and supercars. And we have Ferraris, we have Lamborghinis, and we have, different Ferrari, of course. Ferrari 488 Pista, we have Ferrari 430 Spider, we have Ferrari 12, is it Cylindri or something like that. Then we have Lamborghini, the vehicle. I know somebody who always asks for Lamborghini and Lamborghini Aventador and Ferrari 296 and all that. Okay, Davis is saying nice. So let's get back to politics, because actually that's what is eating into our pockets, eating into our life every day. So guys, when you saw this resignation from Kuria, Davis Mutwiri, when you saw that resignation, Adeku Jen, Wiz, and anybody else on board, what did you think? What came to your mind? Because in my view, I thought that Kuria is playing us. He's possibly going to lay ground and maybe start a party in the Mount Kenya regions, then campaign against maybe Gachagwa's team and allies, so that we see everything going down. Then he goes, maybe joins Ruto, and they win. Because remember the previous, there was an interview in which Kuria came out saying that the government will win at 6. He said so, right? He said that as early as 6, the government will be taking over. In an interview which he did with, we saw that with, to my ass, they are just corrupt. Okay. Of course, they have looted enough. That's why we don't have much as citizens celebrating. Very few citizens can celebrate, Like you can't have a package in your pocket to go do what you want to do. If you want to construct, you want to build, anything you want the life you want to travel and everything else. It becomes so hard for Kenyans, because these leaders, most of them have looted a lot, right? Knowing that they want to go back for the 5 years, and they did a lot of looting, eating the whole bread and the wrappings, right? Yeah, so the resignation comes as something, a mockery to Kenyans, right? He is planning something. And of course, I saw a hint somewhere, because I looked at this interview.
They don't drag us into all these whatever. Now, when you say such things, and we all...
We had this, right? Let's go back a bit. Yeah, here.
Refugee had very serious differences, but like two grown-up men with balls, they should go aside and just go mano. They box each other, but they don't drag us into all these whatever. No. Yes?
Just
But
listen
like
to that
two grown-up
again.
men with balls, they should go aside and just go mano mano. They box each other, but they don't drag us into all these whatever.
Now, when you say such things,
That is what Moses Kuria said. That if Gachagua is man enough, let him go man on man with Ruto. Let him not go about the street talking, labeling. That is what he said, right? If you heard, you heard it. If you understand what he meant, you understand it. It was so vulgar anyway, but he went on saying this. And this is just a few days ago, and he said they go man on mano. You understand? So when Kuria comes out here and tells us that he has resigned to personal, when do politicians in Kenya resign to personal spaces? They don't. They don't. They will run for seats years after years, years after years, because I'm looking at these politicians, most of them, like the example of Kalonzo Musyoka, even Ruto where he started. We look at Kenyatta. We look at many others. They started politics long ago, and they are not going to give in space to anybody, right? Until they get what they want. Yeah. So let's look at this. When you look at the speech at Sagana, for example, by Uhuru, yeah, I don't know whether you heard what you heard here. Let me bring you something here, something new here. Politics is sweet, man.
Ni kwa sababu hakuna maendeleo bila amani. Tunaelewana wenzangu? Wakayo hapa wamesema, na sijui, na nitaka sana kusema hivi, haswa kwa vizazi ambavyo vimezaliwa wakiona maendeleo. Vizazi ambavyo wamezaliwa kutoka mwaka wa 2002 wameona mambo hii. So mategemeo yao ni makubwa na ni sawa, ni haki yao. Lakini ni vizuri pia wajiulize yale ambaye yametendwa tulikuwa tumetoka wapi. Wengi hamjui vijana. Ni sawa? Ni sawa? Mkija mkiambiwa ni kwa sababu mmeona yale mmeona. Lakini ulizeni wazazi wenu wametoka wapi. Ulizeni wazazi wenu kufika pahali ambapo tulikuwa tumefika tulikuwa wapi. Ulizeni wazazi wenu wakati walikuwa wanasomesha watoto na pesa ya kahawa na majani chai na maziwa. Pesa hiyo iliishia wapi? Iliishia wapi? Ndio tabu ingie. Na mimi nawaongolesha vijana kwa heshima. Kwa sababu mimi nawapenda. Lakini mjiulize yale mnayaona, yes, you want more. Wakati nawaonesha navata wa utu ikaku na gegomo kia bure.
Now guys, if you listen to this speech by Uhuru, of course there is something cooking. There is something cooking because it's like Uhuru is coming back slowly to politics. I told you in the other video. And you look at Kuria from Kiambu. Remember, Uhuru was working so closely with Kuria before he resigned and joined effort with Ruto, right? And politicians in Kenya don't retire. Mention to me one politician in Kenya who retired. Who? They resign and then come back in another party to vie. They don't retire. They don't. Look at the example of Gachagua, for example. He's pushed out of government and he goes out and he starts campaigning in another forest known as a different party. Yeah? Okay, Wiz tells me, look for the book called The Most Dangerous Superstition by Luck and Rose. What does the book have? I'll be looking for it. I really love reading. And therefore, I'll be doing that right away once I get a chance to. In fact, let me type it somewhere because sometimes when you finish the live stream, some of these messages disappear and you don't get them. Unless somebody comes to watch your video and they place a comment, the chats disappear. I don't know why this happens. Yeah, so let me just type it somewhere so that I'll be looking for that book. Thank you so much. I really love reading. All right, of course, I've seen it already. Yeah, so that is saved somewhere. So guys, thank you so much for that. You can continue giving us likes and also contributing toward the topic. Now let's go back to this lie, the white lie that Kuria is resigning. Why would I tell you that Kuria is not resigning? And why would I tell you that there's a possibility of the government going in, or rather wanting to have the NUSU MKATE, the half broadband government. Now remember, Raila has done so many times this trick of playing a hero, making heroes. It's not even a hero, he makes heroes. He endorsed Kibaki. Kibaki went through. He is the one who also endorsed who? At some point he endorsed did he endorse Uhuru really? He also endorsed Ruto in some way, and he went through. And of course, he's here now standing by Uhuru and making Ruto feel like he can never walk out of government, right? So Raila has always made heroes. He made a hero in Kibaki, he made a hero in Uhuru, he has made a hero in Ruto, through one way or the other, right? So you cannot fool me that Kuria of all the people can resign. Let's look at some history here before we talk about this, because I want to make this as engaging as possible. Now let's get to, as Life Saga TV, what do we believe in? We believe in doing an analysis, right? Also, The End of All Evil by Jeremy Locke. All right. Let me see this. Push that extension for me here. You placed that table poorly. That's why it can't allow me to access the charger. Yeah, so let me also type that second one, the end of all evil. The end of all evil. By who? By Evil Locke. Right. Thank you for that, Wiz. Thank you so much. So let's go back to why I'm saying Kuria is not retiring and NUSU MKATE is a possibility. Right? Now, of course, you had Kindiki, right? Kindiki talked about dialogue, that we don't need to continue the drama, but we would have dialogue. And let me see that video, right? And Interior CS Kindiki said, it's time to dialogue with opposition firebrands like Gachagua and crew. Indirectly. So Kindiki thought that they must bring them to the table, and imagining they sitting together, and Kindiki is like, yeah, we have to bring them to the dialogue before we ban the country. Or we just make them come and have a photo with them, then that's it. Now remember, if the opposition makes a mistake of meeting these people, if the media will take a photo, that will be it. The Gen Z will give up, because of course they'll understand that now we are fighting a cause that cannot go through. So the mentioning of dialogue by Kindiki is one way to tell us that these people are interested in pulling the opposition, the current opposition, of course, because you understand very well Raila is not in opposition anymore. Now, if they bring them to the table and there is a picture or a video taken with them sitting together, that's done. What will be the Gen Z fighting for? Now, it has become such a bad situation whereby people are opportunistic, using the demonstration to get their way. Now, I'm not sure whether Gachagua and his team would be seeking money, billions from the government, if they accepted to have dialogue, for example. Because the cause of the country currently is to have a better governance that will give us like economic justification, right? Now look at this. They are indicating that fights do not help, pouring blood does not help, that digital stones, do not serve any purposes. Yeah? And Gachagua is like, ni kama wanataka kutuharibia picha. He's bringing about information that was hidden. He said he will unleash it small by small. So it's possible that the meeting may be coming and people will be screaming on microphones and the state carpet might be in picture. NUSU MKATE again, Kenyans. The whispers have begun. The familiar phrase of NUSU MKATE, power sharing, a recycled bind bait for the fresh wound, right? It's a sad tone, a sad violin that keeps running. And if this happens, guess what? Everything is put at a standstill, because who is the opposition now? Because when you share a plate, you can never throw food. You will stop throwing food. No more watchdogs. No more whistleblowing. Just pet dogs. That's what we'll have, right? And people will be like, I didn't protest. I didn't ask for this. That's what we'll see. Now, the drama that we've seen in the country on the streets of Nakuru, the madness on the highway, people looting, breaking into shops, yeah, gas cylinders being carried, then people are like, si tuende tubebe gas, mnachukua wapi? Tuende pia. You see, the Gen Zs who went to the streets, some of them genuine, to ask for specific reformations, especially economic. Now, why did some people have to go for gas cookers and all that? Were they desperate, or they are just thieves? Does this tell us that everybody in Kenya is a thief, as I was asking? And if given an opportunity, they'll steal. The nation becomes a Netflix series, right? Is this a nation really? Or a Netflix series? Looters, Subarus, dialogues. Old men blaming Gen Zs blaming the leaders, politicians uncling for tea time photos, It is not the hottest political telenova in Africa, right? Is it? Yeah, so when we look at kids protesting, Kenyans hustling, montage of political waving, and then Kuria comes and drops a bomb that he's resigning to go into personal businesses. Remember, he's a business person, but he has been an economic advisor, senior for that case. So should we continue to eat, survive, learn, sleep in peace? That's the question many will learn, Before we continue, you can subscribe to the channel, type and drop a comment, and hit a like. Team demos, team disengage, team dialogue, which one are you going for? Now, Live Saga TV is here 24/7 to watch and see. But in the highlights, of course, you've seen Moses Kuria resigning as a presidential economic advisor. You've seen the growing demand for national dialogue. You've seen the possible underlining power struggles and political symbolism, all wrapped in Live Saga signature style, witty, sarcastic, and deeply engaging. Is Kenya cooking another political stew? That's my question. That's my question, actually. So Wagwan, Jamaica, I know you're in the house looking at this. Live Saga Farm, Kenya's political microwave has dinged again. And this time, the dish is hot, spicy, and a bit confusing. Moses Kuria, loud, loyal, and recently jobless, has officially resigned as presidential advisor on economic affairs. But was it really just time to move on? Or is it a political stew boiling over? I feel there is something boiling. Kuria was appointed with flair, presidential advisor, economic brainache, policy frontliner. But lately, he's decided to quit. And he quitted just when he was very vocal on an interview. Until boom, a resignation later, his State House, like a rogue tweet, telling us that he had talked to the president and the president allowed him to do so. Then I'm imagining, how did they sit and talk to the president? Ladies and gentlemen, I feel like they sat and they said, we have to come up with a scheme. Things are too hot under the sun. You should go in and start a party. Go in and pretend to be silent, away from politics, and then shock them. That's what I'm imagining. This is Kenya for you. Remember, the opposition has been calling for boycott calls, right? Telling people to quit buying anything from their shops. The president and his allies, including Ruto, including Raila, Ichungwa, and the likes. Of course, Kuria should be included. And then now Kuria decides to walk out. This is just a hit back, I believe. A hit back at the opposition citizens. The tweet came as a surprise, not just to me, but many, right? Sorry. Truth be told, Kuria exits with a signal of deeper issues, internal friction. Was there any? Power struggle, was there any? Or was it sidelined? I don't think so. So rumors on the corridors, what do they say? Why did he really leave? Let's listen to one here. Let's listen to one rumor here from another reactor. Let's listen to this. Lekwani, where are you? Yeah, it is.
Let me start off by recognizing Vincent Murithi, the sponsor of this episode.
Now let me listen to this. What did he say here?
President on security matters, they can ask for favors here and there. There is a lot of power around that particular building. People don't just leave to pursue personal interests unless they've been frustrated to the point that it makes no sense whatsoever, just like it didn't for me a few years back and I decided to resign. Same thing we're seeing here with Moses. Reason number 3 behind Moses Kuria's resignation, I would personally put this on the periphery. Nonetheless, though, I can't ignore it. Could it be that Moses Kuria has been given the assignment to resign from government and go infiltrate the Wamunyoro group and feed information back to government? I've seen the kind of hatred Moses Kuria has towards Rigiji. If that still exists, he could be a sleeper cell, a political sleeper cell. Because what are these personal interests? All personal interests that politicians have has something to do with politics. I don't think he's going back to Gatundu South. I tend to believe he wants to become governor of Kiambu to go head on with Wamatangi. And he could be using his own party, or he might decide to use DCP party or become affiliated with DCP. But can they trust him, or should he be trusted for that matter? Those are questions people should be asking themselves as Moses Kuria leaves office to go and pursue his personal interests.
Yeah, so we've had one of the thoughts from David Wafula. David Wafula thinks he's going to pursue the gubernatorial post of Kiambu. There's another thought that he might be going to infiltrate, the opposition, the Gachagua group, so that he can hit him. The other thought is
to go work on Mombasa Road. 4 months into Mombasa Road, they tell me there is a staff who has died in Malindi. We want you to go and replace this staff in Malindi. I ended up resigning from that company. This is exactly what we call a hostile work environment, whereby akufukuzai.
So it's also possible that there's a hostile working environment, and he has been told to resign and pursue something else. Just like Wafula David said, he engaged into such a situation. Then I wanted to hear what Lekwini had, because I think they are very important people who know why such things would be happening, So there's an effort to create a NUSU MKATE somewhere, if you understand the politics in Kenya, right? Now remember, Sabina Cheke is working closely with Farouk, Sudi, and the rest, right? And they have assured themselves that they are going to win as early as 6. And if numbers will not be enough, watajaza. Because nothing is impossible in Kenya. Ni nini itashindwa? Kama waliweza the last time, sasa sahizi watashindwa kwa nini? So let's get to hear this again. I saw something here. Interesting. I saw something interesting here. Now, remember, Kuria was just the other day making noise on the streets, telling the young people there's no need to go to the streets. You would rather, if you are, if you are really into politics, you would rather do it in 2027 instead of going to the streets. So why would he again resign? Now, let's look into reasons why somebody would think of resigning Kenyans. Ladies and gentlemen, sources whisper that there are 3 possible reasons why he would have resigned. Maybe it's policy frustration. Kuria's bold economic proposal kept clashing with internal bottlenecks and bureaucracy, or even treasury reluctance. You know the drill. Too many meetings, not enough action. Yeah? So meetings have been there, running and running. Kenyans frustrated because of the economic failure, and maybe Kuria's proposals were not merging with the Ruto's. Another possibility is political betrayal. Word on the street, he has been sidelined by Gachagwa's inner circle, frozen out of key economic decisions and labeled too independent, right? So if Gachagua was labeled that, do you think Kuria would be labeled the same? Another one says, another thought would be rebranding for 2027. That's my thought. He's a smart man, resigning now so that he can rebrand, reboot, and look like he was away from the government in the many days before election. And maybe he will return to the ballot as Moses Kuria, the people's economist, you know. So those are three reasons I think that Kuria might be leaving the office. Maybe there is policy frustration, you know. There is political betrayal, and there is rebranding of 2027. He came out clear in the interview, ladies and gentlemen, indicating that he has never been at peace with Gachagua because he's a full man, and he, as a close ally or rather friend to Ruto, he can meet him anytime. He doesn't have to go through anybody. So in fact, he must have aired all these interests, and the president saw it fit that he goes. So the resignation, I believe, is no retirement. No politician retires, not at all. It's a political foreplay. That's what I believe. Dialogue season again. Meanwhile, the country is on the edge. Protests, looting, police brutality, and murmurs of a national dialogue are creeping back into the headline. Let's see this Kindiki speaking here. Let's see this video. Here he is. Is it a month ago? No, it was just a few days ago. Not even 2 weeks after protests. Yeah, a day ago, this is what he was found speaking.
Now, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki and circles, the Deputy President said that the country cannot progress in chaos and destruction, and those inciting youth to violence to desist. I plead with you, fellow countrymen, we cannot build this country through chaos, through incitement, and through violence. We must learn to resolve our national problems through consultations, discussions, and through peaceful means. Na wale wananchi ambao wako na maoni tofauti, wako na uhuru wa kutoa maoni tofauti, bora wafanye hivyo kwa njia ya amani.
Now remember, it's not only Kindiki who said this, the president said it too. The soprano man and yes boss man is here not just to represent himself but to air what the president must have been thinking of, or the entire government for that sake. He cannot be speaking on his own, and of course, knowing that he went on as a yes boss man, he is just a representation of what Ruto feels like having. Now, when he says he wants dialogue and the young people, we know very well that he's not targeting the young people because young people are leaderless, you know, tribalist. So who is that will represent them in the government? Ah, yes, the famous table that we understand is a political one, where nothing gets eaten but people still live full, right? So Gen Z wants justice, not tea. Raila wants structure, not self-fees. Raila wants peace, not more problems. He has retired anyway. Gachagua, he just wants to know why Mount Kenya is whispering again. And he's really walking everywhere in the country. Hi, cousins, and hi, Shemeji. Ensuring that he reaches all corners, all houses. Now, is this another NUSU MKATE Lodi? Let's be honest, Kenyans. Kenyans are tired. And whenever they hear dialogue, they start preparing for power sharing, photo ops, yeah? Phone calls that never lead to a real policy return. Now, and with Kuria stepping out, the game pieces are shifting. Will he join opposition forces, mount his own movement, or go back to the throwing of shade from X like the ghost of a hustler nation past? What this means for Kenya is, so there is reality here. Moses Kuria's resignation and new dialogue demands are not isolated. They look like they conjoined, right? The smoke signals. Kenyans are reconfiguring again. Behind closed doors, deals are being discussed. Positions are being reshuffled, and the citizens in dilemma, right? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Why do you think Moses Kuria resigned? Should we even trust this new call for dialogue? Is this another NUSU MKATE in the oven? Or will even Gen Z finally burn down the bakery? Live Saga TV jingles with echoing voices saying politics is permanent, but your attention span is not. Stay work, stay loud. This Live Saga TV, where drama is real and leaders resign with style, you know. The letters being courier, and of course dialogue being called for who? Is it for you or for the leaders? Is it for the opposition or for the government itself? Who are these young people being called upon? And why is Uhuru Kenyatta now talking so vocally when he was in government? And at that time, even though he said he's working for the young people, remember when he was voted in for the first time, the young people were so happy. And most of the people who take drugs were like, now we have our own. However, it never happened. Nothing came to their table because the old people were chosen and they went in. We saw the government and how it was run. We saw the challenges. So is he any better? Was he any better? Maybe it's not that he was not the worst, but then should we trust him? What is his call back? Is he creating another NUSU MKATE situation? Is he going back to the government? Does he want to collaborate with the current president? What is happening? Those are the questions we must ask ourselves. Live Saga TV really trusts in critical thinking, the aspect of analysis, deep analysis beyond just the eye view, you know, with a lots of research conducted, comparison of other people's work and what I really believe in. Now, you can continue typing on the comment section below and let me know what you think. However, we have much to cover because today I did not just do what I was supposed to. Time really flies, and that's why you have to keep doing this. Thank you. Have a nice day. Adios.